Namaste. So Blaise asked about breath. And as usual, this is a more complicated subject than it may appear on the surface. First of all, what is breath? Well, breath is prana. Prana is life energy. And prana, life energy, is the second body. After the meat body, more subtle, is the prana body, the energy body. So this is called the pranamaya kosha. The meat body is the annamaya kosha. Now we went over all of this in our series on Uladu Narpadu. So I'm not going to go into it in great detail, but basically prana is the connection between the subtle bodies, mind, intelligence, ego, and bliss, and the gross body, the food body, or meat body. So prana, any way you look at it, is a very essential part of our being, and having control over a realization of the prana is a very important part of self-realization. Now, that said, there are two basic approaches to dealing with prana. And Bhagavad Gita describes them as the path of analytical intelligence, Sankhya, or the path of action, yoga. Okay? Karma yoga, actually all yoga is karma, because all yoga takes place on the dualistic platform, has to do with action and will. Whereas Sankhya is not about action at all. It's about intelligence, attention, and ultimately consciousness. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita describes this very nicely. I have already posted a link to the best translation of Bhagavad Gita, most accurate, with Shankara's commentary. And basically what Krishna is saying is there are these two ways. For those who are attached, for those who have desires, there's the way of karma yoga. Karma, yoga, action, and will. And for those who are not attached, for those who have no desires, there's the way of Sankhya, the way of intelligence, the way of analytics, consciousness. So I guess you can guess which side I'm on. Because what? To maintain desires is to guarantee rebirth, isn't it? Desires can never be satisfied. You may have certain desires, and you can pursue those desires your whole life. I mean, look at wealth, for example. People get wealth, right? And then what do they want? More wealth. My 50-foot sloop isn't good enough. I need a 100-foot yacht. Or my 100-foot yacht isn't big enough. I need a 200-foot mega yacht, right? These are the people who spend their whole lives working so hard. And at the end, what happens? They have to leave it all behind. So they carry that desire with them when they leave the body, and that becomes the basis for a new body. And you can do this, you can play this game again and again and again, as many times as you like. Or you can go the other path, the path of consciousness. And simply by jnana, you realize the nature of the self, and then no more rebirth. So that's for intelligent people. And less intelligent people, well, they have to take the path of yoga. So much effort, so much work. Oh, and then at the end, really nothing changes. Maybe you get a better class of body, Maybe you go to a higher loka, a higher world. That's nice. But you still have to take birth. You still have to go through growth, work, old age, disease, and death again. So basically, the methods of working with the breath that involve some kind of manipulation, either holding the breath in or holding it out, or stopping the breath, or different kinds of pranayama. It's not pranayama, pranayama, okay? They involve effort and will. And they also, of course, require the body. So those who are identified with the body, those who are attached to the body, they're attracted to those kind of methods, yogic methods. But then there are the opposite, the better methods that require only intelligence, attention, and consciousness. Okay? And these are given in the Bhaira Vigyan Tantra and the works of the Buddha. Okay, because Buddha's whole teaching is on the platform of Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga is a higher platform than Hatha Yoga or any of the other yogas except Jnana. So what does Raja Yoga say? Simply observe the breath. Simply rest your attention on it lightly. Don't try to do anything. Don't try to change anything. Just observe. And then, of course, the first thing you find is that by putting your attention on it, it changes. Welcome to quantum mechanics. This is Schrodinger's breath. That as soon as you observe something, you change it. Why? Because the very energy of your observation, of your attention, of your consciousness, interferes with the phenomenon. Isn't it? So in the quantum world, if we measure the energy of an electron, let's say, we change its speed, or its mass, or its spin, depending on how we measure it. So that means as soon as we become aware of something, it changes. Welcome to the material world. So everything is like that. It's about time you realize it. So, of course, when we put our attention on the breath, it changes very subtly. But after some time, it will settle down. And what do I mean sometime? I mean after you sit for 2 or 3 hours watching the breath. It'll calm down. And there won't be any more tendency to mess with it, to change it. And you should do this regularly. Otherwise, you have to start all over again from the beginning. It's one of those things. Like practicing music. Like any great art. It requires constant, steady practice every day. So, when you observe the breath, when you get into the habit of observing the breath, then you'll find that it stays with you even when you're not sitting. And so, of course, immediately what you'll start to observe is whenever your mind changes, the breath also changes. If you become lusty or desirous of anything or desire against anything, positive or negative attachment, this will change the breath. The breath will become agitated. But if you can remain unagitated, if you can remain detached, the breath will gradually settle into a very nice, effortless, calm state. This is what you want. You want to be able to observe 2 points in the breathing cycle. This is described in Bhaira Vigyan Tantra very nicely. the moment when the in-breath changes to the out-breath, and the moment when the out-breath changes to the in-breath. These are the sandhyas. I talked about sandhyas before. Sandhya is the junction of anything, especially two different things, like day and night, morning and afternoon. So that's why, for example, we meditate and chant mantras at the junction of day and night, early in the morning, just before sunrise, and in the evening, just after sunset. And again at noon, when the sun reaches its highest, and then it begins to descend. It's also possible to do some of these things at midnight, when the sun's descent changes back into ascent. So these are the sandhyas, and these also occur to the breath. And you'll be able to observe, if you practice nicely, you'll be able to observe these moments when the breath is still, without making any effort to hold the breath or stop the breath. That's very important, because effort is ego. As soon as we make an effort, we increase the ego. We make it more solid, more real. So, why do you think, when I see a picture of some of these yogis, especially some of these so-called disciples of Ramana Maharshi, and they're like making big efforts, you can see it in their eyes. They're like, concentrate, concentrate. No. That's not Maharshi's method at all. You look at any photo of Ramana Maharshi. Is he making an effort? No. He's completely relaxed. He's cruising, baby. He's just grooving. So there's no question of effort in enlightenment, real enlightenment. Okay? The only effort involved really is in sitting down and making yourself do the discipline. But the discipline itself is no effort, because it's pure attention, pure consciousness, and observing the quality of whatever you're looking at. And eventually, of course, you want to observe the observation. That's the next level. You want to observe the breath, make that a habit. Then you want to observe the observation of the breath, how that comes and goes. And you'll see that when the mind becomes agitated, you can't concentrate on the breath. But of course, that's just the moment when you need to concentrate on the breath, because that's when it gets out of control. So, to remain in the trance of self-realization means not to make any effort to control, but simply observe the breath or any other function of the body. I started out my first real meditation in 1984 by observing my heart. And of course, that naturally led to the breath and so many other things. But the observation of the observation is what gave the most rewarding result, which was to see how, when the mind becomes stressed, tense, agitated, due to desire, that's when you lose the ability to observe, and you get sucked in and become a participant. See, the nice thing about being the observer is there's a little distance, foreground and background, that comes between you and the thing you're observing. And when I say you, I mean pure consciousness, okay? That you are not this body, this mind, this ego, these efforts, this life force, these desires, these thoughts, or any of this stuff that you are aware of. You are only the awareness. Just like a mirror. If you have a mirror, the mirror reflects whatever is put in front of it, but it does not become that. There's no attachment there. As if I put a red cloth in front of the mirror turns red. Then I take the cloth away. Immediately the mirror is back to its usual self. If you put the mirror in a black box, it reflects nothing. It has no intrinsic qualities, and that's what makes it a mirror. If it would distort or color or filter the object that it's reflecting in any way, then it wouldn't be a mirror, would it? It would be something you find in a fun house, maybe. So, pure consciousness does not add to, subtract from, change, filter, edit, or alter the things that are in front of it in any way. It simply observes. And that's the thing that we're trying to reach here by working with the breath, to just become the watcher. Om Tat Sat. Aung Harihi Aung.